What are closing costs in Arizona? If you're selling a home, I bet you'll want to know. Hello, I'm Lindsay, a proud Anthem resident and your local realtor with the Wise Move AZ team at Realty One Group. If you want to stay up to date on all things Anthem and real estate, then you need to hit that subscribe button. Pro tip, you're also going to want to hit the little bell icon so that you're the first to know when our new videos are posted every single Thursday. Selling your home is a big deal. It can be exhausting just thinking about getting your home ready, let alone how much it's going to cost. As your Anthem Arizona realtor, I have worked with lots of sellers in various situations, and I pride myself on helping my clients to understand all the costs associated with preparing and selling their home. No one wants to be sitting at the closing table, signing final documents, and finding out that they're not going to be taking home as much money as they thought at the end of the day. Many times, you're relying on that money to buy your next house, or take a trip to Bermuda, or whatever your next adventure is. The point is, we believe that you need to know upfront how much it's going to cost and how much you're going to net. Unfortunately, there's no clear-cut formula to calculate your closing costs. The cost to sell your Arizona home will depend on the price of the home, the condition, the location, whether you have a mortgage, and so on. Let's jump in and take a look at how much you can expect to spend when it's all said and done. I want to break this into costs associated with preparing your home for sale, i.e. before you hit the market, and then we'll jump into costs to get it closed once the buyer comes along, so bear with me. Preparing your home for sale. Number 1, repairs. It's highly likely that your buyer will order an inspection, which will unearth any repairs that you may have neglected or overlooked. If there are obvious issues that you've been ignoring, you may want to have those fixed prior to listing. Additionally, you'll want to set aside some money to make repairs requested by the buyer. We are not saying that you have to fix everything. No home is perfect. But the Binzer process is a fine art of give and take, and we want to make sure that you're prepared to do your part. If you're wondering what the Binzer process is, then you'll want to watch the video we put together with Binzer tips for sellers. I'll link to that in the cards for this video. Number 2, staging. As you know, we are big on staging your home to make it more attractive to potential buyers and shortening its time on the market. This is an area where you don't have to spend a lot. Work with your realtor to determine what you should budget for staging. We have a whole playlist on staging, and this can help you determine what is and isn't needed in your home. I'll link to that in the cards for this video. Number 3, cleaning. Your home needs to sparkle and shine, which means that you need to have it deep cleaned before listing it. Depending on what kind of flooring you have in your house, you may need to hire professional cleaners to clean the carpet and tile, including grout. Budget for a top to bottom, all surfaces cleaning, and do not forget your window coverings. All right, now that your home is ready to hit the market, let's talk about closing costs. Number 1, financing. Your largest expense is most likely going to be repayment of your mortgage, along with lender fees and possibly an early payout penalty. Talk to your lender or review your mortgage documents to determine this amount. Number 2, taxes. The seller is responsible for property taxes up to the closing date. If your property taxes are prepaid, you'll receive a credit for the buyer for any amount that was paid beyond the closing date. If your property taxes have been prepaid, you'll receive a credit for any amount that's been paid beyond the closing date. Number 3, title insurance. Sellers should expect to pay for what's called the Alta Homeowners Policy of Title Insurance. This insures the buyer against defects in your title. Number 4, escrow fees. The escrow or settlement fee is paid to the escrow company, and it's usually split equally between the buyer and seller. Number 5, attorney fees. It's uncommon for attorneys to be involved in the sale and purchase of real property in Arizona. That being said, in some unique circumstances, you may need to bring a lawyer in, or you may opt to use an attorney instead of a title company, in which case attorney fees will apply. Number 6, real estate commissions. Unless otherwise negotiated, real estate commissions are entirely the responsibility of the seller. These are negotiable and will be set with your listing agent prior to listing the home. Number 7, HOA fees, dues, and assessments. HOA fees are prorated to the closing date. If they're paid in advance, the seller may receive a credit. If they're not, they'll be debited up to the closing date. Watch for other HOA charges and assessments, including disclosure fees, community enhancement fees, and club usage charges. Disclosure fees, if any, are paid by the seller in Arizona. Transfer fees, on the other hand, are negotiable. They can be paid by the buyer, the seller, or split equally between the two. In some cases, these costs are determined by how much you're willing to spend and are entirely in your control. This includes things like repairs, cleaning, and staging. In other cases, some of the costs will depend on the sale price of your home, such as title insurance, escrow fees, and real estate commissions. Property taxes and the amount due on your mortgage are fixed, and they'll be calculated based on your closing date. You should prepare or have your realtor, lender, or title company prepare a closing cost estimate so that you know in advance how much it's going to cost to sell your home. We have a blog post that can walk you through calculating your net proceeds. So if you'd like to check that out, simply click the link in the description box below. So there you have it. Overall, we would recommend setting aside 6 to 9% of the home sale price for closing costs. Why such a big range? Well, because it depends on so many factors that will be unique to your transaction. If you would like our help with calculating your closing costs, drop us a comment below or shoot us an email at team@wisemoveaz.com. We would be happy to run the numbers with you. Lastly, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and sharing this video with your friends. See you next Thursday.